Kia ora and welcome to a new video from NZ Pocket Guide. Today I'm going to go over the drinks you absolutely have to try when traveling in New Zealand. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright everybody, let's get started with the biggest, most famous New Zealand drink, and that's LNP. LNP, which is now owned by the Coca-Cola Corporation, is a New Zealand drink, and the L stands for lemon and the P stands for Pyora. It basically is a New Zealand soda version of Sprite, which tastes a little bit more lemony. You'll be able to find that in pretty much any supermarket. It's a really easy one to find, and it's a great drink if you want to, sip on soda but want to do it the New Zealand way. Next up on the list, we have apple cider, and for that matter, pretty much all type of ciders in New Zealand. New Zealand does amazing ciders that don't taste too sweet, but very much taste like the fruit. There is some fantastic pear cider and apple ciders to be had, and if I have to pick brands of the one that I like the most, it's Max, but check out some other brands as well. The New Zealand ciders are really good. Actually, apple ciders, I like the Harvest one as well. They're all really good. Try the ciders in New Zealand. Next up, we have wine. New Zealand is world famous for some of its wine, and especially from the Marlborough region. So if I have to give you one recommendation, try the Sauvignon Blanc from the Marlborough region. You won't be disappointed. Next up on the list, we have coffee. New Zealand is a coffee nation. They do like their coffee, and there is a lot of different coffees to be had in the country. So make sure to treat yourself to a lot of the different ones that you had, and don't expect those really tall Starbucks-like coffee to be served anywhere else than, well, in Starbucks in New Zealand. Usually you'll get something smaller, but something much tastier. Next up on the list, we have craft beers. New Zealand features an ungodly huge amount of craft beer makers and breweries. Seriously, there is really a lot of them. The New Zealanders definitely do love their beers. So if you're able to visit or tour some breweries, you'll be able to treat yourself to some amazing craft brews. There is a lot of them, and you will also be surprised to see that in supermarkets, the shelves are usually filled with a lot of different craft beers that change depending on the region because they source them locally. So make sure to check that out, and instead of buying the more mainstream beers, treat yourself to some different craft brews. Next up on our list, we have mulled wine. If you're making a trip to New Zealand in winter, which in New Zealand runs June, July and August, and are going to be staying around the local ski field, well, obviously you have to sip on some mulled wine after a whole day on the ski slopes. And finally, I'm going to wrap it up with Lewis Road chocolate milk. If you are able to find some, because it is quite often out of stock, yes, it's that popular in New Zealand, make sure to grab a small bottle, it's about that big, of Lewis Road chocolate milk. It's basically Whittaker's chocolate, which is pretty famous in the country, mixed with amazing milk, and it comes in the fridges of most New Zealand supermarkets, and it's just a really cool treat to have when you are on the road. So grab that as your road trip drink. Alright, so that's everything that I have for you today. There is much more for you on nzpocketguide.com, so check it out. And the whole team is joining me in wishing you the best time ever in New Zealand.